Hey, 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 hey. Hey, everybody. It's the Noontime, My Time podcast. Today is Thursday. Happy Thursday to you. Happy Thursday. Hope you are having a wonderful day. But right here, right now on the Noontime, My Time podcast, you know what it is. It's not just Thursday. It's Think About It Thursday. Think About It Thursday. And I got something that I've been thinking about. And I want to ask you guys this question. And maybe you've been thinking about it too. So I want us to have this conversation. Should Juneteenth be a federal holiday? Should it? I want to know, what are the pros and cons of Juneteenth as a federal holiday? I think that's something that we need to really talk about. Today, I really want to discuss it with you guys. I want us to dive into this topic. What are the pros and cons of Juneteenth becoming a federal holiday? Now, while the recognition of Juneteenth as a national observance has really, made some significant milestone, maybe not, depending on where you sit here, what side of the coin you really want to be on here. But I think there are some real disadvantages. Or do you think there are some disadvantages? You got to let me know. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. But before we get into the conversation, you know what I like to do? I like for us to do a little breath work. Get in here and breathe a little bit. Breath work. Inhale to the count of 4. Hold that a few seconds. Exhale. Hold that a few seconds. Inhale again. Hold a few seconds. Exhale. And hold that a few seconds. Inhale one more time. Hold a few seconds. And exhale. Yeah. Now, don't you feel great? I feel great. I hope you feel good. I want you to feel great because I want us to get into this conversation. We got to talk about it. All right, if you're just joining in, hey, my good people, welcome back to the channel. In today's discussion, we're diving into a thought-provoking topic, the pros and cons of Juneteenth becoming a federal holiday. While the recognition of Juneteenth as a national observance could be considered a significant milestone, we can't ignore the potential disadvantages that come along with that. So I want us to discuss this. Let's discuss the importance of preserving the historical and cultural significance of Juneteenth. And do people really understand and know the historical and cultural significance of it? Do they? Because I'm not so sure. I don't know if people are really sure about what they're celebrating. Now, it's always my intention to spark meaningful conversations and to promote awareness. So as we dive into this topic together, I want us to honor the progress that we're making, but I want us to be able to have a critical eye on some of these issues that we're talking about. Because some of these things, they borderline, maybe it's good, maybe it's not so good for us. And I want you guys not to forget to share your thoughts. Give me your perspectives. We're going to do that in the comments below like we always do. And if you're new here, make sure you subscribe. Hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so that you never miss out on one of these thought-provoking conversations. Let's create a community here of understanding and of growth. So I want to thank you guys for joining me on this journey. All right? Let's get into it. Do people really know why Juneteenth is celebrated? And if you don't, let's talk about it for a little bit. Juneteenth is celebrated as a significant milestone in Black history because it symbolizes a moment of news that got to a particular group of people in Galveston, Texas, as it relates to the emancipation of Black people. Now, the Emancipation Proclamation was declared by Lincoln, President Lincoln, in January 1st, in fact, in 1863. However, it took a lot of time for that news to reach all parts of the country due to various factors, including limited presence of Union troops, and of course, the very obvious, some resistance from slaveholders. So keep in mind, January 1st, 1863 is when President Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. And it wasn't until June 19th, 1865, that date that we now know as Juneteenth, that marked when the news arrived into Texas. And it was officially announced the end of slavery. This announcement came 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. Right? So you hear what's going on here? That delay is very, we can understand how that happened. We know. A whole lot of circumstances, but communication. And they didn't want that word out there. So it's important that people understand how important this particular observance, this particular holiday that we have always been celebrating, how much it means to us. It was never a federal holiday, but we were able to celebrate this in our way, in our own ways, and it meant so much to us. And I'm just watching so many different things happen as it has become a federal holiday. So how do you guys feel about that? How has Juneteenth becoming a federal holiday made a significant change for you? How has it? I'm curious. Do you think this has really worked for us? Who's benefiting from this? Do we know? Is that important to you? Does it matter to you? I see we've got Isaac Wilson in the building here. He said Juneteenth is the commemoration of June 19th, 1865, the day enslaved African Americans in Galveston, Texas, learned that they were free. Yeah. Y'all hear it? Y'all know it? And that was like, really, that's 2 years later. Look how long it took for them to find out. And then look at how many years we have been celebrating this without it being a national holiday. And so that's really why I want to have the conversation. I want to know how Juneteenth is being, I want to say, and these are my opinions, but I just feel like a lot of people jumped on that bandwagon and they really don't know what they're celebrating. It's unfortunate, but, not so. I think it was Greenville, South Carolina, where they had promotions for Juneteenth, and there was a white couple on the promotions, and I'm trying to figure that out. Does that make any sense? Do they even know why they did that? Was there a reason for doing that? I see we've got Amina here. She says, in recent years, seeing the commercialization of Juneteenth has turned me off a bit. I always celebrated before, but now it seems less meaningful. Y'all hear that? Because it's commercialized now. How has it being commercialized made you feel? This is how Amina feels. She said, in the recent years, seeing the commercialization has turned her off a bit. I kind of feel that a little bit myself. I got to be honest. I feel that quite a bit. With it being commercialized, I don't know that it holds that same value that we've had when we were celebrating it. I see Isaac here. He said, it hasn't and it won't. Juneteenth has been watered down to fit mainstream society. White people have taken it and made it a thing of inclusivity. And it's not that at all. So just like every other holiday, they will commercialize it and Black folks will let it. Why are we doing that? And what are you guys doing on Juneteenth? What are you doing on Juneteenth? Because there's a lot of people who, it's not, yeah, wow. It's a touchy subject with me. So let me take a little breath so that I can not be too upset about it. But I really don't like the way it's being commercialized. And do you remember when Walmart put out the Juneteenth ice cream? I mean, how crazy is that? Like, who is benefiting from this being a federal holiday? We know who's benefiting from it. And I feel like it's a holiday for Black people. And so Black people should be the ones who are benefiting from it. When we're going to these events and whatever celebrations are going on in your communities, who's benefiting from that? I feel like it should be Black businesses and Black people if they are really going to celebrate it in the true essence of what it really is and what it stands for. Because we've been doing this for years, many years. Juneteenth is about our community. And we celebrate it in ways like having community gatherings. Historically, it's been marked by our community gatherings. We've had picnics, we've had barbecues, family and friends come together to share food, music, stories, and we foster that sense of unity and we celebrate. Some places you go, they have parades and processions. Many Juneteenth celebrations include parades, and they feature the marching bands, floats, participants are dressed in traditional attire. These parades serve as a vibrant display of pride, culture, and history. These are some of the things that they did in Texas. And I think we should be taking, the lead from there. It's also spiritual observance. Religious services and ceremonies play a very significant role in Juneteenth celebrations. They often involve prayers, hymns, reflections on struggles and triumphs, all within our Black community. So we need to really be vocal about how we want to see this celebrated because it's our history. And there should be some type of historical and cultural education. Juneteenth provides an opportunity for us to educate and raise awareness about Black history and about our culture. We can have historical reenactment, storytelling. There's a lot of poetry and lectures, have lectures on topics that deal with everything that involves our culture. And we need to be talking about our notable Black figures and our civil rights movements and things that are going on and things that we should be doing. That is what I know Juneteenth to be, and that is how we should be celebrating it. Yes, we're going to celebrate it with music and dance. That's very much a part of our culture. We always celebrate with music. So yes, there will be festivals and music at different Juneteenth festivities. I expect that. From traditional African music and drumming and gospel music, blues. I expect there to be many performances, dances, all forms of dances, such as African dance, step dancing, line dancing, things that are prevalent in our culture. I see we've got people here in the comments steadily coming through, and I want to be able to keep up with it. I see Isaac Wilson here. He has a comment. He said, I read the next one. Isaac says, for African Americans especially, Juneteenth should be a day of education, reflection, cultural appreciation, and hope for true liberation. This is the day that we should shop Black, but we will use it as a day off and a cookout. See, now that might step on a few toes. There's some big ouches going on right now. But that's true for many people. Some people are very much just having a day off. I like what he said here. We should be taking this opportunity to educate, reflect on our culture and appreciate our culture, find ways of moving our culture forward. And having just a federal holiday, that's not it. And we should be shopping Black. I like that. We should be. And then there's many people who are getting days off. And what are they doing? Just having a day off. Just having a day off. All right. I see Amina here. She says, I also find it funny how many Black people celebrate Cinco de Mayo but are ignorant about Kwanzaa and Juneteenth. I love seeing more people become aware and relevant of our history, but not at the expense of being commodified by others outside of our culture. I am for cultural appreciation, but I'm not for cultural appropriation based on capitalism. And that's what it is, folks. It's become another one of those capitalistic holidays. It's become another one of those just have a day off. And that certainly isn't what Juneteenth is about. And that's certainly not what I like to see it become. Isaac Wilson says, you cannot celebrate the day without understanding how we got here in the first place. We have to do better. What happened in Greenville is appalling, and what is happening in Charleston, where a white artist is headlining the Juneteenth event, but he's been seen on his social media with Confederate flags in his background in a lot of his videos. How was this possible that he is headlining an event for Black people? Y'all hear this? Now, see what happened in Greenville with the white couple being advertised on the Juneteenth promotion. It was crazy. And they had to walk that back. And they absolutely should have. I just don't even know how that got approved. That got approved every step of the way to printing. So think of this. To have something printed is a process. It was designed and had to be approved. It had to be sent out to printers and had to be approved. It had to be put up. So you see how many steps that took, and nobody thought that, hey, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. Is this what Juneteenth is about? So that's why I'm asking these questions. And I hadn't even heard what's going on in Charleston. I had no idea. I'll have to look that up a bit later. But there's an artist a white artist who is headlining the event. Someone who has Confederate flags and promoting the Confederate in their videos and on their page, on their social media pages, which you have that opportunity to, you put whatever you want in your videos on your page. But if you are being a part of a celebration for Black people, headlining, you trying to tell me South Carolina didn't have anybody to headline this event? No Black people to headline this event? We know the answer to that. We absolutely know the answer to it. So that's why I asked the question. That's why I wanted to know what you guys had to say about it. There's just too many disadvantages with Juneteenth being a federal holiday. Yes, you could say it's an important milestone, but the disadvantages right now, it just doesn't look good. The commercialization is just diluting it. It dilutes it. Mainstream Juneteenth, it doesn't have the same appeal. I have to agree with what Amina said. It's losing and diluting the historical and cultural significance. If we're going to have white people headlining Juneteenth events, how is that Juneteenth? They're really reducing this to a mere day off of work without the proper education and understanding of the historical context. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't like it. I really don't. Declaring Juneteenth as a federal holiday, oh boy. Oh boy. I just had to hold my tongue. I had to. Everybody in here right now who has something to say about Juneteenth, pretty much, they get it. It's commercialized. But what I want to ask is this. What are some ways that we can begin to add more historical context to it so that it's not overshadowed? It already is. But what is it that we can do about it at this point? How can we create a more comprehensive understanding and appreciation of the Black experience and what Juneteenth really means and stands for us? Can we think about that for a minute? Think about that. How can we create a more comprehensive understanding and appreciation for Juneteenth? Can we do that? Is it too late? What are you guys thinking? Because I'm not so sure. I don't know at this point. I'm asking these questions because I feel like we just need to do some critical thinking, just a little bit of reflection. Are we necessary? Or how are we celebrating? How are you celebrating? I think that's a good question as well. What is it that you will be doing for Juneteenth? Why is it important to you in the way that you celebrate? How are you celebrating? Who out here is celebrating Juneteenth? Has celebrated Juneteenth? And I don't know if anyone listening really didn't know what Juneteenth was until it became a federal holiday, which is, that's a whole nother issue as well. I don't know, guys. I don't know. It's outrageous. I really don't know what to say about it. I think we should be celebrating our artists, our local artists, and our artwork. Communities should be having featured art exhibitions of their local and Black visual artists, cultural festivals and performances. We got to highlight the talent and creativity of Black people and of Black artists. These are the type of events that make sense to me for Juneteenth. And they provide a platform for artistic expression that promote our culture and appreciation for our culture. That's what it should be about. And I feel like other cultures want to help celebrate that in a sincerity, then be willing to go to events that are very much events that are hosted and celebrating Black people. That's what we should be doing. Let's see, we got some more comments coming through here. I see Isaac here. He said, you cannot celebrate the day without understanding how we got here in the first place. We have to do better. I read that one. Okay. I agree with him. We got to do better, people. Got to do better. How many of you know of Juneteenth celebrations in your particular towns? And who are they being sponsored by? Who is making revenue from those events? Because I feel like it should be Black people. I see Amina here. She says, otherwise we risked it just being another cookout opportunity. That seems like what it is. That seems like what it is. As I said, I would love to see the day celebrated with a big event where we first tell the story of how we've come this far, where we still have to go. It should be streets lined up with Black vendors, artists of all kinds, leaders, prayer, and just celebrate each other and ancestors. Exactly. And you know, in the early 2000s, when I first came back to South Carolina, there was a Sankofa celebration during Juneteenth. And I was so pleasantly pleased to see the celebration that was had. It was at Timrod Park, and there were vendors and artists and art and storytelling and poetry. That was what Juneteenth was really about. And it was wonderful. I don't know if anyone knows why we don't have that anymore. And it was big. There was just families there, family events, food, family, art, vendors, black vendors. What happened to that? Does anybody know what happened to that? Because that's exactly what we had. I hear Mina here. She says, I think having smaller, intimate events that keep the focus on our history and progress since freedom. Well, it's something that we're going to have to do. If we're going to have small events, if we're going to have big events, I just feel like we need to make sure that is in celebration of us, and that we are teaching our young people what this particular holiday really is, what this holiday should be, and that it's not just about having a day off or going to a music festival, and particularly a music festival that is headlined by someone who is not a part of the culture. You know? Crazy, 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 crazy. Oh, wow. Someone just sent me Isaac. Okay. So the Juneteenth Unity Festival. Wow. That's what they want to call it. Now, why are we calling it a Unity Festival? And why does it have to be a Unity Festival? What is that? What does that even mean? It's Juneteenth. It is a celebration of emancipation for Black people. What are we talking about unity? We're celebrating it because we're talking about a particular, these are the last people who found out about, their freedoms. No one wanted them to know, because 2 years is a very long time. A very long time. This is crazy. Yeah. I'm just asking questions. I'm trying to spark the conversation. There are larger conversations to be had. But we've got to do something about it. We have to make sure that we are hosting and having and being a part of real cultural celebrations for Juneteenth. Now, today is the first day of June, and anybody who has Juneteenth celebrations that are really Juneteenth celebrations, we're going to talk about it. You guys send that to me. I'll make sure that we let people know what events that you're having, because I don't see the advantages of it being a federal holiday. I just don't. And I didn't think that I was the only one. I see the disadvantages. It really is. We're neglecting the whole historical context. We're making it seem insignificant at this point. And it really is a day to reflect on freedom and progress. I don't know that we're doing that. And we need to recognize that. It's essential to recognize that systematic racism and inequality persists. So without addressing the structural issues that are still going on here, this holiday is really being overshadowed. I see Amina here with a comment. She says, I went to a Juneteenth event before. The Black artist has such shocking lyrics they were performing. The DJ played music that was really irrelevant and offensive. I felt bad about being there and realized that we as Black people need to protect our culture, because this new age mainstream hip hop era ain't it. Ooh, You got a very valid point. You got a very valid point, because Juneteenth should be celebrations that are family oriented. This is a day where we're bringing out our kids, and we're talking about age demographics from young people to older people. And so I think there has to be, we have to think about that in our choice of artist performance, in our choice of music selection. That's very important. So I hate to hear that you had an experience like that. Every experience that I've had an opportunity to have in Juneteenth events that I've been a part of, I got to say they've been really nice events. Real cultural, Sankofa celebrated type events. I don't know, y'all. I don't like it. I don't like it. All right. I tell you what we can do. We can talk about it more. I think we can talk about it on the actual day of Juneteenth. And I have some interesting people who might be interested in having a panel discussion. And we can take it a bit further, and we can educate right on that particular day, on the day of Juneteenth. I just want to spark this conversation and see where you guys' head is at. I hope that you have an opportunity to celebrate it in a cultural way. You deserve to. Make sure you are educating your young people and let them know the facts. Give them the history. Let them know. They need to know. This is not about a day off. This is not some unity fest. It can't be a unity fest, because if we've got other people and cultures of people who want to celebrate Juneteenth, but at the same time want to ban books and ban our history, take books out of the library, say what could be read, deny the history. And see, this is just another way of them doing it. So if they can come in here and whitewash this thing and make it sound like this is about unity, and just kind of take all of the history component out of why Juneteenth was celebrated by Black people, nobody's going to know years from now what Juneteenth even means. No one. No one. All right, guys. You got some things to think about. It's the beginning of June, so you've got a couple weeks. I don't know what events you are going to or plan to go to, but make sure that it really is a Juneteenth celebration. I see Isaac Wilson has another comment here. He says, it's important to understand Juneteenth in that larger context. I always try to explain the history, but also point out how this all has ramifications today. From Juneteenth to Emmett Till to Tamir Rice to George Floyd, the feeling of not being safe, of not truly being free, of not being intentionally told something important about the past is always swirling around for Black people. We have to really, really take this serious, or we will forever live in peril. I agree with this. Very nice statement. Very nice statement here. Yeah, Amina said, preach, Isaac. That's a whole word. I want to put this comment up again because I want you guys to read it. This is important. We've got to make sure that people are educated and that they are aware, because we are at risk of losing historical significance. Juneteenth is not adequately being taught or understood in schools or in broader society. It's crucial to provide comprehensive education on history of slavery, emancipation, and on the ongoing struggle for equality that Black people are dealing with right now in a meaningful way, so that they can understand what this holiday really means. This is not about a day off. This is not about having a unity festival. It's not. It is an emancipation festival. Let's be clear. And why is that so hard to celebrate? Why must it be changed to be something that it is not? It should not be. It was officially announced the end of slavery in Texas. That announcement came 2.5 years later after the Emancipation Proclamation had been issued. That's a big delay. And for us now to think that we're doing something by having a federal holiday, allowing people to celebrate it and not celebrate it for what it really is, that makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to me. Not for you to just go somewhere and hear some music or dance, unless it's our music, our traditional music. Have some African drumming, some African rhythm, some gospel music, some blues, some jazz. We need to be hearing from our poets. We need to see our Black artists out here, our Black visual artists. We need to have our Black vendors out here and our Black craft people with their jewelries and crafts. That's what it's about for me. That's what I want to see. Those are the type of events that I'm a part of, that I continue to make sure. I'm not agreeing to do any Juneteenth festival that does not have culture involved. I'm sorry. I'm just not. I'm not. I see Amina says, yes, MsTonya, grateful you're tackling this topic. And now more than other, we still need conversation and workshops to help people get free because many of us are enslaved in a new way. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I just want us all to be aware. I was about to say I want us all to stay woke. But they took woke and made it mean something else. And that's a topic and a conversation that we could be having. Like, how did woke become what we are hearing it be abused by the right? That's crazy to me. We know what stay woke means, and it's not this whole thing that they call woke culture now. That's not woke. They whitewashed that. They whitewashed it and made it into something else and still turned the tables on us. What is that? So is that what's going to happen to Juneteenth? So you can admit that Juneteenth is a holiday. You know that Juneteenth was an actual holiday that we celebrated because of actual events, because of the emancipation for Black people, but you don't want the Black history to be taught in schools. You want to take the books out of the schools because you don't want feelings to be hurt, or you don't want white feelings to be hurt. And they shouldn't be hurt. It is about being educated. They shouldn't be hurt because you should be able to look at, okay, this is what happened in history. And this is not who I want to be and who I am. It's not about any fault. You should feel proud that you're not that way. You should be able to look at that and say, well, look at where we were and look at how we are now. But you can't do that because that's not what you feel. And we should be able to have the conversations. Now, I know I have conversations that get shadow banned. I know that. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to keep having the conversation, because we have to. Don't let Juneteenth become just another day off. We're not going to ride around and we're not going to be looking at promotions and billboards with white people on billboards celebrating Juneteenth. No, that's not what it is. That's all I got to say. That's all I got to say. I'm going to stop because I feel like I need to take a breath. I really do. I feel like I need to. Hey everybody, it's MsTonya. I am here. I'm here to share with you a little bit of lifestyle, a little bit of media, and sometimes a little bit of poetry. Oh yeah, it's the Noontime, My Time podcast. Weekdays, 12 p.m. Make sure you check us out. We're here to have conversations, sparking conversations every day of the week is Think About It Thursday. And today I just wanted you to think about what Juneteenth, being a federal holiday, really means. What are the pros? What are the cons? We've had a little bit of dialogue here back and forth. Some people might not want to comment, and I understand that because you are in places and in positions that, you just can't. But your girl just can. So I'm going to have it for you. All right, y'all. I'm getting ready to get on out of here. I'm going to get out of here, and I'm going to breathe on out of here. I want you guys to make sure that you enjoy the rest of your day. Think about this conversation. You've got 3 weeks to think about how you're going to celebrate and how you are going to contribute to what Juneteenth really stands for. You got 3 weeks. Don't go out here to some of this foolishness that's not really it. We can't support that. We can't support that. All right, y'all. Let's do some breath work. Inhale to the count of 4. Hold that a few seconds. Exhale. Hold that a few seconds. Inhale again. Hold a few seconds. Exhale. And hold that a few seconds. Inhale one more time. Hold a few seconds. And exhale. Yeah. Well, don't you feel great? I feel great. I appreciate you guys. If nobody gave you a smile today, if nobody smiled today, you just close your eyes and give yourself a big smile and see how that feels for you. Right? Y'all be great out here. It's what we do. One love, y'all.